Hey y'all, we are your Buttons Babes and we are back with another episode.
I'm Alyssa Vasquez.
And I'm Alyssa Brayboy, and we're going to jump into some push to starts. If you guys are joining us for the first time, push to start, something that pushed our buttons this week, whether it's good, bad, ugly, indifferent, something that made you feel something, preferably, yeah. Anyway.
Hopefully good.
Yes, hopefully. I'm trying to get better about those ones. Mama, what's your push to start?
So this week I started listening to a new podcast. Shocker. And I'm going to finish this one in probably 6 months because I'm like behind 2 years.
What?
I listen at the beginning. Like I start at the beginning versus like the most current 90% of the time, unless it's like some type of current event. I don't know.
So you binge your podcast like it was like a show or a series?
Kind of. Like I binge a new one and then pick up like in my regular weekly schedule most of the time. But this podcast specifically, I found these dudes on TikTok.
Okay.
You've probably all seen clips. They're the Isimo guys. So it's 3 brown dudes who are usually talking about brown people shit. And by brown, I mean Hispanic. They are all first and second generation. So similar to me, or where their parents have gotten here and they're like the first or the second kid to like be here.
Got it.
And some of them also don't speak Spanish. So it's really nice for me to relate because like that is like a pain point, I guess, in my life, and I think we've talked about this, where like I am, as an adult, being able to connect more with my heritage, but like it's still weird because I am ginger, and I do not speak Spanish very well. Duolingo, I'm on 115 days.
Yo, bitch, yes.
Suck my dick.
I love that for you. That streak is,
yeah, the longest streak of probably anything in my life. But I loved it because right away, like their first episode was talking about like the level of alcoholism in our culture. And like,
damn,
that one, it hit me in between my eyeballs, and I like sent it to my siblings because I was like, this is cool, just in how like it related like why there is so much drinking in our culture sometimes, and like it's not always bad, but it's not always good. It's just like it's there.
It is what it is.
They have so many great episodes. Like I'm like 4 or 5 in, so like 10 would recommend, and we'll link it below so you can follow along. But it was really cool. Like it was just awesome. I was like, okay, here's a podcast that's like relatable to me in like many levels, and I was so glad that like they were out there doing it. They're talking about like recently like just the lack of representation, and that's like it was just like another button. So like 10 would recommend listening to them if you're brown, if you're not brown, just so you like get context on what it's like to be a not brown person.
Not brown
living in America.
Oh my God, I love that. I died when you said ginger. I recently went to go see Moth Stories. I'd never been to a Moth before. If you have heard about Moth, NPR, KCRW, you should totally check it out. They're amazing. But there was a comedian writer who was up, and he was Mexican ginger, and he was like, yo, I got my ass beat all the time for being different and blah blah blah. Anyway, it brought me back and made me giggle. I had to share that little tidbit because it was
Thankfully,
great.
nobody beat my ass for being a ginger, but I'm not a dude, sadly.
Right?
I mean, like, not sadly, but like sadly only dude. I don't.
I got where you were going with that. Anywho, my push to start, y'all, bear with me. It's a little long-winded, but flows right into our button of the week, like kind of accidentally, just the way that it all mashed out. So my push to start is I got a call from my mom this week. Shout out to Mom Dukes. We are super, super, super close, but I mean, I'm always busy. I'm in California. She's in Virginia. And sometimes like weeks will go by without me calling her or her calling me. And so she'll do the call like, are you alive? How's my child? Blah, blah, blah. And
wellness check.
Yes, the wellness check for mom. It's so great. I love them. I forget. And she called, and this is the first time she didn't really know what was going on in my life. Anytime something major happens, I call my mom right away. I'm like, Mom, I need you. And, but I realize sometimes I shrink into the corner when things happen, and it's really rare for people to know what's going on with me because I'm really good at putting on a face, and the world is great. And so,
you're an excellent actress.
Yes, excellent actress. Y'all, so your girl's going through a breakup and shit is rough. And so when she called, she was like I could feel it. I knew it was like bubbling on the surface. And she's like, how's my child? And I was like,
Moms always know.
She's like, how's my child? I was like, I'm fine. And I gave her all the buttons bullshit. And I was like, this is great. And this is happening. And my workouts are good. And I could just hear her like tapping her foot on the other end. Like, bitch, that's not what I asked you. And so she's like, okay, no. That's great. Love the business side of things. But again,
you're my child.
Yes, how's my child? And I was like, Mom. And just
you're the waterworks, and you're like you in your head you've been avoiding it because you're like, no, I don't need to say it's fine.
I don't need to talk about this anymore. I don't want to feel these feelings. And so yes. And it was clutch. So I'm sitting in the office, and I'm just out of nowhere bawling and angry but sad and like telling her all of the things. And what we got to, again, y'all, super close with my mom. So we got to a point about, and if y'all don't know, I have dabbled and put my toe in dating for dollars, sex work. Like, it's something that I'm super passionate about. Sex work is work. And so anyway, we got to that conversation. She goes, well, okay, how are you feeling? Like, what decisions are you gonna make? Because I had told her, I was like, I was thinking about maybe getting back into that. And she's like, okay, I respect you. I'm proud of you regardless of what you do. And it hit because it's still something I'm trying to figure out. And I realized that I'm trying to find my own voice in it again. And it made me so uncomfortable. Like, there was a little bit of shame. There was a little bit of like frustration and anger and irritation, because for the most part, I'm really good at identifying my voice and what I believe in something and like what is important to me and my stance on it. And when she asked me if I made a decision, I was like, I haven't, because I can't tell whose fucking voice is in my head. I don't know if it's my partner's voice. I don't know. And with that, y'all, I had, it's like push to start part 2.
Layers.
It is,
layers.
Y'all, it's layered because I had ex-Kryptonite's voice in my head as well, because we recently met up for drinks and hung out for a little bit. The conversation that we had in spirit, I was like, okay, no, like there's something in me that wants to have this conversation in the flesh. I said thank you. We caught up. It was super great. I was super proud of myself. I was like, yes, nothing happened. You're no, like, that's why I can say ex-Kryptonite. And
I mean, that's a big thing.
It was a big thing.
Yeah, I think we all have a person that's like,
And he said something while we're sitting there at the Sherman. There's this like super dope spot at the Sherman in Sherman Oaks, above the Sherman. It is called the Attic, and great cocktails, all of the things.
Is it a speakeasy?
Kind of.
Ooh.
Like, oh, it's dope. The last time we went there, I don't remember bits and pieces of it. I had like one too many Manhattans. The bartender there, she was super dope.
She was super dope. She was fucking strong ass drinks.
She made strong ass drinks. She was hot. I thought I was cute. I was flirting. I was doing my thing. And bitch peeped that, and she came for me, but knocked me. It was not pleasant. Anyway, I can't drink Manhattans anymore. I digress. So ex-Kryptonite and I are sitting there and we're diving into, you know, what I feel about sex work at this point in my life. And he made a comment. He said, Shao, because he calls me Shao, I'm fantastic. He's like, Shao, whatever you decide to do for you, I respect, as long as you can sit there and talk about it in a way that, like, yo, that's the decision you made. That's what the fuck you want to do. You're not ashamed of it. Like, it's like you can sit here and talk about it without any question. He goes, however, I don't want to honor your body more than you do. And I was like, wait a minute. Like,
Okay.
and it stung it like both ways, because initially, like, the first thing that came to my mind, I was like, hold up. I honor the fuck out of my body. I take care of it. I love it. And just because I decide to make money off of it for things that I do well, and what is funny, it's not even always sex. The sex work that I have dabbled in has been more companionship and girlfriend experience. And so it leads us to the button of the week, which, y'all, this week is going to be sex work. And there will probably be a part 2, part 3, part 4.
Part 45.
Because
99.
the shit,
107.
like, there's nuance. It's layered. It is. And so sitting there, that hit me. My conversation with my mom hit me in a way where I was like, where the fuck did my voice go? In respect to sex work.
Oh, so sex work.
And so Alyssa and I started diving into this because a lot of it, I feel like, okay, is it a little bit societal conditioning? Like, yes, it's definitely ex-partners. Like,
I mean, even friends, I'm sure there are people.
Yes.
I have definitely heard people in my circles make comments before of things that I'm like, I mean, like, LOL, I get it, but, like, also, like, that's not like that's not the, I don't want to say woke, so now I hate saying that, but, like, that's not, like, the most, like, here we are current, like, way to say something.
Right.
But also, I mean, like, everyone is on a different journey.
Yes, and I'm curious, like, okay, navigating that, how do you know if it's for you? Because what is portrayed in the media in terms of sex work and the perception that people have, it is out of desperation, it's trauma-induced, or it's, you know,
it's a last, I mean, that kind of
right.
desperation, but it's like the last resort. Or it's like that everyone has this idea that, like, you don't care about yourself, like, you don't love yourself if you're doing that, and that it's dirty.
Yes, and it makes me mad. It really bothers me. And right now, as I'm navigating my voice in that, it's like, okay, am I trying to put myself in a box in terms of, like, based on how I know intellectually I feel about it, versus if I know it's something that I can do? Does that...
I feel like I'm receiving, but I'm also
like,
slowly receiving.
In my brain, I'm like, oh, no, it's, okay, it's an exchange of value. And I value myself and what it is that I have to offer. And so, to me, it's same as waiting tables.
The quid pro quo. I mean,
yes,
that's the thing. Like, to me, I have served in restaurants. I have been a shop girl. I have been a bartender. Like, I have done the food. That, to me, respect to everyone in the food industry, is like, no, I would rather fucking clean. I will clean a toilet. Like, cleaning is like a totally acceptable option versus being a server. Just because I'm like, I don't want to touch your dirty food that your mouth has been, like, the way that people treat servers, I don't want to be treated that way. House cleaning, I mean, I do that with my mom. It is a very low looked down upon thing.
Interesting.
But like, I would much rather clean someone's house than like serve them food. That is just like, not a beneath, but just like, I'm like, people don't treat them well. So it is, I do believe the same in terms of like, you are providing a service. You are doing something that like not everybody is going to be willing to do. Not everyone wants to be a gardener. People do it and get looked down upon by other people. But like that's how in the like plane of careers it is. Like there's so many jobs that like people are like, oh, I would never do that. I could never do that. Whatever. But like people do it. That's somebody's fucking job.
Like,
so like,
and it is wild to me because it is one of the oldest motherfucking professions. Like
literally, dudes have been trying to get their fucking rocks sucked forever.
Like women have started empires and have changed like the economic status of places. Like when the gold rush happened in California and the different.
What was that? We were listening to a podcast about someone.
Oh, it's an audiobook.
Audiobook.
Sex Work. It's called the book is called Sex Work, and it captures the different time periods of sex work and the ways that it has made like historical changes in certain areas, but it is always looked down upon, or like it's looked down upon / like, oh, we're gonna turn the other cheek, like in terms of law enforcement and stuff like that.
I mean, the cops be taking advantage of sex workers. I mean, Jesus himself was friends with prostitutes and whores. You know, if you're into that, like Jesus was very much about being friends with the people who are doing this.
Yes.
So everyone else should be, supposedly, if you're into God.
I think there's a lot of it comes from a misunderstanding because it is portrayed like 1 to 3 ways in the media in terms of,
and most of it comes from SVU.
Yes.
So, or CSI, both of those.
You're pushed into that world because of sex trafficking, because there's the highs and the lows. There's the, everyone thinks it's like gold digger status, like luxury lifestyle, like you have sponsors.
Stripper talk, where you make tons of money in a night, but it's not that glamorous.
It's not. And then there's the even, I guess, lower level of it, small town, walking the street corner, very unsafe. And I'm not saying that these things don't happen.
They definitely, yes.
But there is nuance in between. And
Cam girls, I mean, house moms fucking on Twitter. Some people that I follow on Twitter, that's like, they're a whatever person in their like career of traditional. And then also fucking nudes. One tweet is nudes, one tweet is not nudes. Like, it's everybody in between.
Right, and it's interesting, Mama, you were making a parallel about how you would rather clean, and it just hit me in this moment. And I've thought about it here and there because, my mom has had like sponsors in her day. And so in the back of my head, I'm like, yo, was this shit generational? Like, but it's also like I knew, but I didn't know. Like my mom had guys that would help her out while we were growing up. So like in a way, it's something that was
kind of like familiar.
Yes. I don't want to say conditioned. That's not the word I'm looking for. But something that was present even in my childhood. And so I saw it differently in terms of like my surroundings and upbringings, and I'm like, okay, like sometimes we need help.
It because like if you grow up in a family that does not drink, and then you suddenly go somewhere and people are drinking, it's not normalized. Not that it's not conditioned, but like it's not normalized. I mean, Mexican parties, anybody's birthday, there is hella booze. But I have been to a white person's 1-year-old's birthday party and there was none, and I was like, why the fuck are we here?
What is happening? There's a bunch of screaming.
Where's it at? Who's late? And that's like, to them, that's weird to have booze at a 1-year-old's birthday party. But like, I mean, yeah, if it's something you've grown up with and it's like normal, then it is fucking normal. Cleaning houses, normal to me. Because like being a sub for someone, like it's not like a hard yes, it's not a hard no, but there's like enticing things on many sides that like kind of you're like, ooh, yeah, like that could kind of turn you on in a sexual way, but also just in a like working like, ooh, like challenge way. I think this is something, another podcast that I do love. Cancel me, whatever. Asa Akira's Pornhub podcast. I love her. I have not seen a lot of her films.
I don't know this one. Wait, maybe we have listened to this together.
I don't know if we have. She's a porn star, and an episode that I recently listened to with a guest that she had was a male who was not a sex worker, but is kind of in an adjacent like industry, but the conversation that they had was, she was like, I love having sex. I love fucking. And I was like, 10/10, I relate. Like, yes, okay, that is me. And she was like, it's so interesting in our industry because she had a previous guest who was young, very young, when I think she was 18 when she got into porn. She was 18 and a virgin when she got into porn. And her first porn, I think her first time was an anal gangbang. Something like that. Okay.
No, that's a choice. Anyway,
it was a choice. And like that was one of the questions, was like, why would you do that the first fucking time? And she was like, at that point was not comfortable with my body, and she wanted the virginity thing. She wanted it out and over with. So,
and great way to monetize. Anyway, sorry. I mean, get in there, make money off of.
But she was like, I was started out so young, and thankfully, like I sidestepped a lot of the like negative early in 18-year-old girl shit that happened. Probably still happens in porn, but happened in porn a lot more in the decades past. And she was like, I eventually actually started to enjoy it, not just like this is my job. And going back to Asa was like, I just love sex. That's why I do this job. I enjoy it. Like I have a good time. It feels good. Like I shouldn't feel bad about liking my job like this.
Yes.
And that was like the male guest was like, not everyone can see, receive, and like get into that. And like it sucks, but like you have to find the circle of people who see that and who feel that way with you, and just go and leave everyone else behind who's not into that. Because like if my partner was telling me that I should quit my job because for whatever reason, I'm like, okay, well, I like can receive your feelings, I guess. But like, I'm not asking you to quit your job if I don't like it. So why are you asking me to quit my job? Like, this is a choice. I've been doing this before you. Like, so I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, there's a lot of controversial jobs out there, I think one could argue. I'm not going to try to like list a bunch of controversial jobs to like, go through that, but it's like you meet someone and you find out what they're doing. If you have a problem with that, you need to either be upfront about it or keep it to yourself, and you can bring it up, but like I don't know, don't fuck with someone's money, like unless you have a solution to like to that that's going to be better. I talked about like, oh, I could do this, or I could do this, selling feet pics, selling paint, those kinds of things that everyone's like, I'm gonna do this, and it's for many it's like a joke, and it's like ha ha ha, whatever, but like that's literally someone's life, like that's literally someone's work, is like doing that. And so like, and making light of it is like,
I don't understand placing shame on someone for what they are doing to survive, or even if they do enjoy, like placing shame on someone else for something that they are doing. It's something that I have a hard time with, and especially
because it's been done to you. That's, I think, when, if no one's ever guilted or shamed you for something, you don't know what that feels like. So you might not recognize when you do that to someone else.
Oh, damn.
Because I think there are many things that I am a hypocrite about that, like, I have learned along the way, like, oh, I put my foot in my mouth back there that one time. You know, those like 3 a.m. thoughts that you're like, fuck, I was an asshole to this person in 1997.
My bad. I'm not that person anymore. I'm
you know,
sorry.
and that's, I mean, it's hard, but like, knowing if you're ready for sex work, like I love to have sex. I love it. Lots of sexy things. Just I like them. It makes me feel good. It turns me on, not necessarily in an immediate like sexual way, but in a like, this is interesting. Like there's something here. It's fascinating. Like it's also, I mean, it is empowering. I also, in that same breath, I'm like, I don't believe that's the direction or like that's the place for me. But I also haven't also like truly considered it, I guess. Like maybe, you know, I think, I mean, I think it'd be fun to be a porn star. I've done no research on, okay, so like this is me just like shooting, you know, but yeah, like that's the thing. It is hard work because you're up, I would assume early in the morning for shoots. You're late, you know, up late for shoots. You're literally physically like on
a toll
around
out of your
something.
body.
Like
Yes.
you're constantly getting tested. So I mean, blood, peeing, and like you know,
all of the liquids
for pricks, not for like. I mean, I guess unless you're like. Unless
But
bloody
also
sex is like your
pricks
category,
anyway.
and also pricks will be there unless you're only doing girl on girl shit. But you know what I mean? Like, there's so much that goes into that, like, that's not glamorous.
Yes.
You know, but like, if that's what you're into, great. I want to watch porn. Like, I want to see people who are doing this who enjoy it, not like people who don't enjoy it. And I think that's where it's like, I don't know where this was going.
It's okay.
But like
trying to figure out like if it is for you, because yeah, sometimes it does. In terms of work, a lot of things do come out of desperation. In terms of like this, like I have to find a way to keep a roof over my head, like feed myself. All of those, like, what is that, Maslow's hierarchy of needs? Sorry, I just got really like
Maslow,
education.
sure.
Is it Maslow? Whatever, hierarchy of needs, people. Like, you know, shelter, food, whatever, those things. Like, and so there is an aspect for some where, yes, it comes out of desperation, but also when you pick that job, like, yes, it's desperation, but you're like, okay, no, I can do this. Like,
I mean, I desperately chose an easy major so that I wouldn't. You know, I mean, like that's where I'm like desperation. Like, desperation is it's such a loose, like it's a wide spectrum. I think, like of my friends who are sex workers, none of them are out of this like, I have a desperate mouth to feed at home. My baby is eating dust, and you know, like I don't know.
I've got a pimp who like keeps me on a, like I have to meet this quota. Like and I'm not saying that doesn't exist.
Right, absolutely. Like I've definitely
the majority
of the stories
of individuals that I know that are in that line of work. It is like I know a writer who is paying her way through getting her master's. And I'm like, yes, bitch. Like, I know people who are doing this temporarily in order to feed their larger motherfucking goals. And there is a piece of me who has no shame or qualms of being like, yeah, I have dabbled in that line of work in order to, you know, keep the lights on, but to build a fucking business. So fuck out my face. Is like the other side of the voice that I am trying to find again to make a decision, because especially in things that we're in California, it's illegal. Anyway, sex work is illegal in the state of California.
Oh, I guess that makes sense.
It's not in, where's Vegas? Is that Arizona? Nevada?
Vegas
Fuck.
is Nevada.
Geography and we don't really get along. And the fact that, anyway.
I took Civil War and World War II every year for like 10 years in high school or whatever fucking school I went to. Yeah. I only took one geography class and it was map coloring in like 2nd grade.
Yo, bitch, map coloring. Anyway, a lot of empires have been built off of like not so legal foundations or whatever I'm trying to say, in terms of doing something to build something bigger and to achieve higher goals, and not necessarily doing it the right way. I'm like, that's a whole other, sorry y'all, because what is right in terms of, I tried to do the fucking 9 to 5, get a job, like the way that society wants me to build something. Get the fuck out of here. It's not that it's not possible. It's damn near impossible. Like,
just not. It's not fun. That's, I think, you can be in sex work obviously as like your full time, but also it's just like a side hobby. Mm-hmm. Hard or soft. Mm-hmm. They have a OnlyFans that's not their like sole income. It's really like a way for they're testing products, but also just like having fun. And it's maybe not as widely known that like, that's an OnlyFans account for a male podcast, but like there's lots of dudes out there who are also doing this. That's
yes.
There was that dude who does vaginal massages. Like
what?
Yeah, I'll find the article or whatever. But like that is sex work.
Yeah, there's so many, like, under the umbrella of sex work. There's
a lot there, but it can also just be like a funsy thing. Like there's a lot of people who they're artists, and so they have an OnlyFans account just to put up tasteful nudes. Like that's a thing. People who are nude body painters, like, events, the Cirque du Soleil, like, those are sexualized costumes. There's a lot of Cirque sexualized performers who, like, burlesque. Like, that's all to a layer, and I'm kind of romanticizing it, but like those are like fun gigs, that like, yes, people are doing that to literally pay their bills, but also people like that's a 9 to 5ers, maybe also like side hobby. That's the thing is like, I don't know. I didn't necessarily grow up in a home that it was like normalized, quote unquote, but also it was not normalized. It was like neither here nor there, but I think because I've just grown up and like am kind of a hypersexual person, it just makes sense to me.
Right? Like, and we'll get into it. Europe, that's a whole other, that's a whole nother avenue.
Red light district.
Yes, and there are certain countries in Europe where it's legal and all of that. A lot of it has to do, like, others placing shame on people. A lot of it comes from a lack of understanding.
Yeah.
And
that's with most things. It's like if you don't understand, you can't grasp. And I think it's the lack of trying. That's the thing. It's like the lack of trying. Like, okay, if I don't understand something and I'm gonna say I don't like it, well, did I look into it? That's on me for not looking into it more.
And what I love is we get to like sit down and have a conversation about it, educate
get
individuals,
feedback.
And yes, get feedback. Like
story. We would love to hear stories if you've worked in sex work before, if you have a friend, family member, like experiences. Even if you disagree, I guess like we'd love to understand your reasoning of why.
Starting a dialogue and creating content that helps break down that misunderstanding and showing it in a different light, showing different situations, individuals like that we get to like make into characters and breathe life into, so that there isn't just, 1 to 3 depictions of what sex work is in the media, because that's a lot of where society is educated and where we get our I know
That's like such a sad statement.
It is.
Education comes from the media, but like it's not wrong, because yes, I have fallen for the media's.
Yep. And so, y'all, we will. I promise, because I know.
So I want to get like a quick. Okay, if I'm listening to this and I'm considering sex work, where did you like feel comfortable, like for someone who is also like kind of on the fence of like I think I would be into this. I would like to try maybe.
When did I feel comfortable?
Like, how do you?
That's interesting, because for me it was a very interesting gradual like slide into it, because I was doing underground poker games for a stint.
So you like it wasn't like the first thing you did was like BJ.
Right.
No, okay,
it was
so
the first.
Could put yourself into situations,
Smaller
kind
situations.
of dipping your toes in.
Yep, that led up to. So I did underground poker games where like they had lingerie nights or bikini nights, and so you serve drinks to guys and girls, like, and all people playing poker
Cards.
at all hours of the night, like giving like shoulder and back massages and like sitting and talking, and I'm like, okay, that wasn't too bad.
Underground poker illegal?
Yeah.
Cool. I just wanted to like.
Yes, it is. It is.
So I'm like, on the opposite side, if
the girls.
but that's the thing is like the people in a lot of those situations or in that catering, there is no. They're like, yeah, you're here for my money.
Yeah,
and
it
like,
is. We know what it is.
Yes, but like
everyone
also
knows what
like.
it is. But they're not under the illusion like, okay, our job is to make them like feel comfortable and taken care of while they're there. Like they're customers, like you're at a restaurant, like good customer service. And so it started there, and I'm pretty sure some of the girls there were into sex work. Like I would ear hustle. I didn't really make any friends there. I was just like, okay, I know these girls, and they would invite me to like work at different games. And then I kid you not, my jump into it, I got a fucking text message from like one of the apps or the sites or whatever. I have no idea. Well, because the internet listens. Anyway, I got a fucking text message. It was like, download.
Don't share your cookies, clear your cache, follow up on your security and safety practices for the internet.
Like download or like sign up for sugar models, seeking arrangements, blah, 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 whatever. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Like I'm gonna poke my head around, dip my toe in, see what this is like. And because on those sites, there are so many individuals looking for different things. You're seeking an arrangement, like you are seeking something that you are not getting. And so it varied. And I like that expression, had to kiss a lot of frogs to find a prince or whatever. But like, it was just a matter of setting up different appointments and like going to a public place, meeting them, making sure I had a system of like, you knew where I was. Like,
let's also talk about like, yes. Anytime you went somewhere, here's a name, here's an address, a photo,
here's the
if
phone
possible,
number,
like
here are all of the things so that I am the most safe.
Yeah.
Yes, shit can still go down. It can go sideways.
Sure.
It is dangerous. But
do you have a large amount of like moments, interactions that you're like, yeah, I felt unsafe here, or like, no, actually, I basically always felt fine? I
only had one where I felt unsafe, and because I broke Alyssa protocol, and I was not in a public place. And so as I'm parking my car and I'm walking like towards this gate, I'm like, bitch, have you lost your motherfucking mind? Like, I mean, you knew where I was, and it was like a last minute on my way home from like a bar job that I was working as I'm still navigating, okay, am I doing this? And like this house was for sale. It was huge. It was a fucking mansion. And
Bless.
like, I mean, I was like, for the very least, because I'm fucking nosy and so curious.
You're like, I'm gonna see the inside of this house.
Right, like I'm gonna see the inside of this house and then like skedaddle the fuck out of here. And so like that was the only time I felt unsafe, is because I, like, Dodo
You
over
just
here,
didn't.
I didn't do what I said that I was gonna do.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, I was in fucking Beverly Hills. Like, I'm not saying that bad things can't happen in Beverly Hills, but I was in a really
You're like, I'm in a safer place.
I'm in a white place, so pretty sure I'm fine. And I peeped my exits and I did all the things, but I have felt unsafe once, and so
Okay, so safety, kind of like, I mean, you are in a place with yourself and your body that, like, despite any previous trauma, you are like, okay, I love myself, I take care of myself, I respect and know my body, like, upside down, left, right, and sideways. Do you think that has been an aid or like a super beneficial? Like,
most
what?
definitely.
So if I'm coming from a place of like insecurity, unresolved trauma, sexual or not, like, what are some steps that I can take if I am like, I would like to consider this? In your civilian, I guess, not expert in health, I don't know, in your opinion, in your experience,
Yes.
like, what would you say to me if I'm like, I would like to consider this, but like, yeah, here's my baggage or here's my damage. Like, how do I get to a place that I can be like feeling empowered to do this? Do you think?
There's two parts to that, because I'm not gonna lie, like, there are times where I don't always feel that way
Right,
in
because
the moment.
you would be a robot if you were 100% all the
Right.
time.
And so, but there have been times when I'm feeling super insecure about my body and just where I am in my life, that being in a situation, being on a sex work date or companionship date does really alter that in me in a positive way. I'm like, oh, like, what the fuck am I insecure about? Like, this individual, like, wants to spend time with me, is paying me to do so. Like, it is empowering in that way.
So
where
that
those
kind of
insecure-
helps, like,
yeah,
rub-
it does.
Buffer
it did.
the edges, I guess.
It, like, that insecurity, like, goes away, because I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Like,
Okay,
bitch,
okay.
like, are you, like, seriously? And so it just, because then you're also being taken care of and sought after. There's something about it that feeds it and helps. However, the other part of that, if you are not in that space, I would suggest, like, sitting with yourself and figuring out why.
Yike.
Like, where is it coming
Yike.
from? Like, yoga is my go-to for sitting with myself and figuring out, like, what's going on in my body and in my mind and why I don't feel that way when I know, like, it to be true, and I know it's just my mind playing tricks on me. Some people, like, it would be therapy. I know that's, like, hard because sometimes it's expensive or, but, and something that actually ignited even more of my being sound in my body and myself, I read/listened to this book called The Existential Kink. And oh my goodness, in terms of, like, you know, the dark and twisty things that are in here that we like being like, okay, yeah, so fucking what? Yeah, this turns me on, or I like this, or this is a part of who I am, and learning to accept those things became a lot easier for me. So, like, okay, like, my point by saying that is, if you can't get to therapy, like, try and read a book that like is centered around self-help or insecurities, like listen to something, like find a podcast.
There are resources to kind of help you
navigate through until
that.
you can get to that point. And so I would say if sex work is something that you're interested in and wanting to dip your toe in or figure more about, like go onto one of the sites and download it, upload your pictures, like exchange some messages and see how that makes you feel. That's the smallest, like dipping your toe in is like, okay.
I mean, kind of like after you've been in a relationship and you're starting to get into the dating pool, I'm assuming this is how it would go because this is what I did. You eventually get on apps and you swipe forever and eventually start actually responding, and then, you know, it picks up from there.
Right. And just gauge, like be honest with yourself. How does this make me feel? Do I feel icky? Do I feel good? Like, oh, okay.
And then accepting, like, if something that might be a little weird also makes you feel good. I think,
That's
I mean,
okay
future
too.
button I think I'd like to talk to you about. But like, yeah, I think going into a little bit more kinks, drop your like weird kinks or DM if you're like not into it, because we'll definitely share some of our weirds.
Definitely,
But
I'm excited for that button. Anyway,
I want to kind of recircle back to safety. So if I'm okay, I've like received and I'm like taking the self-care, whatever, like what would you suggest for just some quick safety tips on like how to have like your P's and Q's about you, more so than I guess ladies we already have to have everywhere.
Yeah. So always, okay. So in terms of phone number, you can create a Google number and make a fake phone number.
Yeah. So great.
And so that is a first step. Like it's not your real phone number. Second step is.
Do you pick a name? Do you get a
Oh yeah, I do. You pick a different name that is not yours. It's like you're making a whole other person. It's
so you can kind of have like an alter ego.
Yes. And then from there, okay, so you've got the fake number, you've got the fake name. From there, if you decide, okay, I'm going to meet someone, it is in public. It is always in public. A restaurant, a bar,
The library.
just public people, like a coffee shop. And once you pick the place in public, I had two people who always knew where I was. It was Alyssa and then dear friend Patricia. Share your location. Shahada has my location.
I was like, I think most of my besties have my location shared regardless of if they wanted it or not.
Yeah, exactly. You share your location, but like not just shared location. Like if you're gonna go meet this person, so you've got the location picked out, you send them to your two people. Like, hey, BT Dubs, this is what's up. This is where I'm going. This is who I am meeting. This is the number that they gave me. This is the name that they gave me. This is, if hopefully you have a picture. This is a
their
picture.
photo.
Yeah, this is their photo. This is our, you can go into like text exchange, but I never did. But you send all of the important information about where the fuck you were going to be, and and this is the last person. Like if things go sideways, this is the last person that saw me. And so, those are the steps in terms of making sure that you are as safe as you can possibly be. And then once you have left that meeting, you let them know, like, okay, hey, I'm on my way home, or okay, I'm in the car, or I've made it home. Just making sure that the people that you have set your safety net up with, keep communication, keep them updated and aware of like what is going on so that they don't have to be on high alert. And so that is my 2 cents on like being safe and dipping your toe into that line of work and then going from there. And it is, if you have a plan and a system, like it's just a matter of executing it every time. Even if you have seen and met this person, I don't care how many fucking times, because you don't know if all of a sudden, like, they go cuckoo, cuckoo, or whatever. Anytime you're going to meet that person and that is what you're doing, you make sure at least 2 people know where the fuck you are and who you are with. Like that to me just is like, okay, yeah. And
like a regular date.
Yeah. Like, and I've never, there has been, because I broke my system, there has been one time where I did not feel safe. Yeah, that is my, that's my full circle on that. I have a feeling we're probably going to break this into parts.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I mean, I'm hoping we'll definitely get some, like, comments, questions that we can, like, touch base again on. But I think this is also, there's a lot to it. I'm familiar on the, like, surface.
Yes.
Wherever that is.
Yes.
You know, but I think I think a lot of people are curious. And maybe that's where a lot of judgment or lack of understanding comes from. Is just like, I mean, yeah, because we don't know. I guess I'm gonna loop myself into with that group of people. Is we don't necessarily know things. Like, I mean, there are a lot of careers that we know the title for, and just like we've made assumptions, but
Of what goes into that job.
But it could be not what we think, and it's like the more we know, the better equipped we are to either revert the judgment or just like hop a couple stones over to a different place and then also feel more comfortable with it and get to the point of maybe that's a career path that we would like to step into.
I like had this epiphany, like idea, creative thought of like having a like going through all of the different dates or like, damn it!
I'm trying to follow.
Like not like a Q&A and ask me fucking questions about it, but like, yo, no, like this was, you know,
like story time?
Yeah, story time. Like,
ooh, sexy story time.
Yes.
Okay, raise your hand if you would like a sexy story time. I can share some stupid dick appointments and you can share some real appointments.
Right, that's some real appointments. It's like, yo, and also like talking about the money behind it. Yo, I made this much. I made this much. Or this
is how much
got
money I could have made for this stupid wiener,
Big.
but I didn't because that was a fucking tool on a date. So, I mean, honestly, that's what I'm like, yeah, I've been doing this fucking wrong my whole life.
All right, y'all, with that, because we could go on forever because I feel like we have on this episode, but that is okay. We are going to push replay on what are we looking at?
This week we're pushing replay on a comment from our friend Easels on a Button of the Week video. So the video is how to talk about sex toys.
Oh, yes.
Yes, okay. So the comment that he left that I wanted to highlight specifically is kind of like a conversation. So he quotes me, "We're gonna find it together," timestamp, me, nah, his opinion doesn't matter when it comes to toys that are going to be used solely on you. So what he's saying is the toys in the bedroom with your partner, you make the choice, not your partner. And I said, you know, I want to do it together.
Yeah.
And we had a great conversation back and forth here of like, I want my partner to be involved because we're using it together. And then, you know, another question from him is, what if he wants to use a toy and you're not ready? So that kind of led into like, it ruins the mood. What do you do from that point on? And I think every relationship is different, right?
Yep.
Like if one partner is not comfortable with sex toys, then that's like a little bit more challenging of a like, hey, I want to use this or I want to buy this for you to use with me, and you're not okay with that. Like how do we have that conversation? That's like one example or like one branch wing of like the conversation. I mean, I think both partners should be involved because it's like, well, it's going inside me maybe, but on top of you or vice versa.
Or like, yeah, you're the one that's handling it and
right,
pushing the
like,
buttons and experimenting with it.
Is this weird? Is this okay? Like,
how does
I
this
think,
feel?
Yeah.
Like so I've dealt with both of those situations. Like I have been, and I personally love it. Like partner-wise, like going to the sex store.
It's kind of fun. It's like a sexy date.
It's a field trip, and like it's like you're out of your element. You're seeing all these different toys. You pick some things up. Like it's fucking hot. Like, it gets you in the mood when you go together and pick these things out and they have input on what is happening instead of just picking one up and bringing it home. Like, I fucking love that. 10/10, recommend. Like, the first time you go, it might be uncomfortable. But I've also been in a relationship with someone who, like, made a total stink and like was super embarrassing when we walked into the sex store together, like stormed out, and definitely more so like just pick something and like show up with it, bring it in.
The first thing that they got, or the first thing that they saw. Like,
yeah, like they're like, okay, no, you do it, figure it out, like, and was also like almost like offended and intimidated by me bringing something into the bedroom. He's like, what the fuck? Like, we don't need this. Like, just like, like male ego shit. Yes. So I get where that comment comes from in terms of like, well, what do I do if they don't want to? It's a matter of like you having to swallow your pride and ego and not pop off and make it like sexy make it sexy and like show them what it does to your body and how it can be fun. You're like, okay, well, I'm gonna be over here playing with this toy. You can watch if you want to.
See,
and
I am not a baby or no.
Yeah.
I will fucking pop off. If you don't want to fucking do this, great. You know how to fucking leave.
Shut the door.
You
You're
can't
missing
watch
out.
this then. I'm gonna do what the fuck I want to do, and you can go fucking jerk off in the corner at home, like, or not.
I wish I could steal some of that. Like, I have pacified a lot of motherfuckers in my day, and I'm like,
yeah, the amount of whatever. That's a different conversation.
That's the way to handle it, is to be like, okay, suit yourself, and handle it.
His second part was, I'm assuming from the male perspective of, okay, he would like to use a toy and let's say she is not ready. And so that's where I have definitely been.
That's a little bit more difficult.
The female partner who was like, yeah, I'm not really into that. When I first started using toys, I did not have good toys. I did not like them. They did nothing for me. So I was very like, we can use them. We don't have to use them. Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And so eventually finding a partner who like took the time, I guess, to like hold their ego in with me, to be like, okay, let's try this. Okay, let's do this. Like,
how do we make it feel good? Or maybe we just, toys is a lot of trial and motherfucking error. You will spend some money on some toys and be like, well, that was fucking bullshit.
Drop your bullshit toys below so people don't fall into the same trap as you.
Yeah.
But I think for someone who's, if you're able to like not be in the moment for these conversations, that to me has been like the best way to like not skirt around, but like navigate to the problem of like, oh, it's actually because I don't like my body, or oh, it's because I don't know how to use this toy. Oh, I don't understand why we need this toy. Like, whatever those things are, to be able to have that conversation not in the moment of like, hey, never mind.
Because everything is heightened when it's in the moment.
And it's so easy to take it personally. That's the thing, like, I have not been with a partner who felt some type of way about a toy. I've always been the like, yeah, whatever. So I've been really lucky to have those people who are like, okay, well, this is more for you. Like, this is for funsies. Like, I obviously don't need this because it's the same as what I've got. But like, so it comes down to communication, but like also if your partner isn't ready to like make that jump, then you kind of toe back and wait, but like also you have to decide at some point, how much do you wait, like, versus and do you just like not spring it on them, but like how do you get them to like see the light? I think that's where it's like some will take that and eventually get there, and maybe some won't. And I mean, at that point, you gotta.
It is trial and error, and also having an idea, like knowing your partner and knowing what is going to work best for them. Like, okay, do we need to sit down and have a side conversation? Do I, like, in a very sexy, consensual way, tie you up and
Sexy and sensual way.
tie you up and use this toy and have you walk me through like, okay, does this feel good? Does that feel good?
I mean, you can definitely gamify it. That's a good like blindfold on, like guess what's happening.
Breathe, like, and talk them through, because that can be a way that is a little bit easier if you know, like, if your partner would receive that, like if there's someone that you just have to spring things on them, is what I'm getting at, but in a sexy, consensual way. Like, but yes, love that comment and those questions, and because as I've gotten older, like the more like my collection of toys has like increased, and y'all, I'm just saying, a bitch's sex life has gotten so much better. Like,
I need to catch up.
There's some, okay, was it Lilu? I forgot. Like, there's the brand that is just. Anyway, we will have to have a sex toy button part 2 because they are doing the damn thing, like, innovation wise.
The Lord's work.
Yes, with sex toys. Anywho, y'all, nope, take it away, mama.
That's all. Please like, follow, subscribe, download, comment.
All of the things.
All of the above. If you would like to hear any more of what we babbled about today, let us know.
And that's what we've got, and we'll catch you next week. Bye.
Bye.